Well, welcome to this week's vlog. This week, or weekend, Alana and I came to, we practiced this before and I've already forgotten.
Twin Knobs Campground.
And that's in the peninsula of Cave Run Lake
Yes.
in Kentucky, kind of in the northern part of the Daniel Boone National Forest, and the closest town is Moorhead.
Kentucky.
I'll be honest, I got most of that. I remember.
You did.
I remembered most of that. The plan is it's going to be brisk tonight. We've got a fire. We just started a fire. Sorry, it's a little smoky, especially if it gets in front of Alana. It's going to get down to freezing, which in Fahrenheit is 32, and this is also the only time that Celsius makes any sense to me. It's 0. So that's the temperature that it's going to get down to tonight, and along with some humidity, I'm sure that's going to be pretty cool. Tomorrow, we hope to do a little bit of hiking just in the forest itself, no designated trails or anything, doing a little bit of fall color and waterfall hunting. So just sort of getting back in the woods and looking for we're not sure what. I don't know how successful we'll be. The place where we're looking sort of skirts along the national forest and some privately held land. It's a lot of the ravines and gorges that it looks like a lot of the waterfalls are in. I'm not sure exactly where they go, so we want to make sure that we're respectful of landowners. So right now it's up in the air of how successful we will be. It's also questionable how successful we'll be with the fall color. In some places it looks like we're late, and in some places it looks like we're too soon. So maybe it's just a dull year, or at least a dull year right around here. So who knows? We're looking forward to tomorrow, and as far as to now goes, well, that's it. I'll see you in the morning. Well, good morning. Last night was brisk. It was about, I think, our limit, camping in the tent, at least just with the blankets and everything that we have. It definitely got below freezing.
Yes.
We woke up to very thick frost, and because of the lake, there was a lot of humidity and fog rolling in. Now, this opened up an opportunity for a neat picture while we were driving to the location I'm at now, so I'll share that here in a moment when I shut up. As far as this location and the falls that are behind me, unfortunately I need to keep this location, or I feel the need to keep this location a little bit of a secret. Now, there are websites that are dedicated to Kentucky waterfalls and waterfalls in the Daniel Boone National Forest, but like I said, some of them skirt along private land, and we just so happened to come across a neighboring landowner that told us that where we were at was just fine, and I didn't ask, and he did not extend that to anyone when I mentioned that I do photography and some videos. So I'm not going to talk about this exact location, but I do encourage you to research, because there is just an immense amount of untapped and unseen things in this really large national forest. It's 4 districts that kind of extends everywhere.
Huge.
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge.
It's huge.
As far as compositions and photography here goes, I did struggle just a little bit. I do like the way the waterfall is moving. It's quite dark in here, which means some very long exposures, and still leaving a sort of dark and moody feel, at least on the back of the camera. I tried down here below me, but because the day is now coming on, it's bluebird skies. And the reflections in the water, the sky is there, and even with my polarizer in every position, I struggled with that. So I tried some other things where I used this big rock here in front of me as a foreground element, and to block some of those reflections that I didn't like. But I don't know right now whether it's going to look really cool or whether it's going to feel like a barrier to getting back to the waterfall. So before we leave this location, you probably cannot see in the photos because of the magnolia bushes and things, but this waterfall right behind me is actually fed by probably a 50-60 footer just up the hill.
Yeah.
We're gonna go walk and check that out, but I'm probably not gonna do too much. I don't know whether I'm gonna do photography or videography up there, just because when you're looking up at it, you're looking straight at blue skies now. So I'll probably take a little bit of video to share that with you, but yeah, that's that. So here comes the photos and the neat fog on the lake coming up right now. Here it comes. Well, hello again, and you can see from a new place. I apologize, Alana and I did not get any B-roll or any photos of those upper and larger falls. It was really kind of cantankerous and tricky to get up to them, and in all honesty, the sky is quite bright above them, and it was going to be not a great image anyway once we had made it up there, so we decided to move on and find a new place. This is one of those new places, and a couple of neat things here. You might be able to see in the background, hopefully you can anyway, there's actually two tunnels. One is the roadway right above there, and then the other is, it appears to be a tunnel that has been made or existed for this little stream or waterway that's moving here. I have a hard time believing that either one of them is natural, but Alana and I actually walked the road and we could not find a single tool mark on that arch/tunnel up there, so that's kind of interesting. I'd love to know the history of that. Anyway, we were hoping to get off and head off that way some for some waterfalls, but one of the things when we were talking to the landowner or the person that lived close to the last set of falls we were at, he informed us that today was actually the first day of muzzle loading season for deer. And again, we're not hunters. I've mentioned that in other videos. We try to keep track of the hunting seasons so that we're properly dressed. And Alana and I are kind of at the point now where we don't really want to scurry off in the woods other than designated hiking trails without some orange stuff. If you go back through some of my older videos, you'll see a lot of times I actually wear an orange hat, and I even have some orange jackets and stuff that I wear. When you're in the woods and it's hunting season, sometimes people just get a little antsy, and it's frankly just safer, even though we're not hunting, to dress like a hunter and wear hunter orange. And since we don't have that, I think we're going to probably call it quits on a lot of the just walking down streams and walking off into the distance in the forest. So anyway, I took some images here. I'll show you those here in just moments, and then we're going to head back to camp. There's a couple of hiking trails just a stone's throw from our campsite, so I think we're going to go back. We have to pop our tent up to let it dry out. It got so cool last night that our breath had quite a bit of condensation and moisture inside. So that's where we're headed now. I'll see you on the hiking trail from camp in moments. Here we go. Welcome to the top of Twin Knob. It's called Twin Knobs Campground, but near as we can tell, there's really only one, and this is at the very highest point on the peninsula that I mentioned to you earlier in the video. So as we said, that the campground that we're staying at, the Twin Knobs Campground, is on a peninsula with the lake. And from here, it's very evident on this spot. I can see literally water goes all the way around us and all the way back. In fact, you're pretty sure you are on an island, actually. Yes. It's pretty nice. Speaking of the campground, I cannot give the campground enough praise in every capacity. Last night in camp, other than it being exceptionally brisk that they can't do anything about, no. It was very quiet, very nice. Yeah. I have never actually stayed in a campground that was this quiet, and I think that comes from 2 points. Number one, the loops are all pretty small. There's at most 10 campsites per loop.
Yeah, maybe 13.
There's a lot of loops, but not as many campsites in the loops, whatever that number is. It's clear that it's not as much. And there appears to be a host in every loop, and they are all active and working. We're seeing leaf blowers and brooms and rakes, and man, they are super active.
Yes.
That cleanliness and care continues into the bathroom and shower house. I have never been at a place that has a bathroom and shower house as nice and tidy as this one. It was very nice. And this campground has been taken over and is now run by Thousand Trails. And they have a whole bunch of campgrounds that they run, but they also run this one now as well. Along with that, usually you see a price increase a little bit. It is a little bit more of an expensive campground, at least compared to some others that are in the area, but I would pay it hands down. Our site was much more, but I will show you. Our campsite is a double campsite. You can now see that it is absolutely colossal, and the intention here is that you could actually back 2 campers or a camper in a tent room or a lot more space in here. It's graveled off. It's even probably, while not advertised, wheelchair accessible, or if you needed something like that. So it is an absolutely colossal website. And with that being said, the reason we ended up in that site is not because we needed it for our setup at all. We're pretty much contained in a footprint. It was just because we booked this about 3 days before leaving. We didn't know we were going to come here, and there just weren't very many reservable sites left. There are a bunch of first come, first serve sites. The thing about those is that you can stay on a site for up to 2 weeks. So you're really just, did someone show up? You're really hoping someone left the day you're coming in, when you're coming in here, especially across the weekend and in the fall when it gets really popular. So anyway, campsite, absolutely phenomenal. I would highly recommend it. There's a lot of activities to do here. The general store just down the road from the campsite rents kayaks. I know that you can do that as well. There's a lot of boating. In fact, there's a campground on the lake that is actually a boat in to camp there. Lots and lots of hiking. I know there's horseback riding, biking. There is a lot of outdoor activities that can be done in the area. I would highly recommend both the campground and the area. I'm going on and on about that because I don't want it to detract from the funk that I've been in a little bit today. This happens, you know, we just came off of that really big 2-week trip out west where we were just in epicness everywhere, and I tend to get a little bored of the landscape and terrain that is back close to home. I just wasn't in the mood to do much B-roll today, so I didn't. But nonetheless, it was it's been a fantastic weekend. It's been a fantastic camp, and I can't say enough about it. So while this was a bit of a different video, hopefully you still enjoyed it. Hopefully you enjoyed the images I shared. Thanks for following along, especially if you made it this far in such a talk-heavy video. I do greatly appreciate it. If you have made it this far, please subscribe if you haven't already. It does mean the world to all of the creators that are trying to make content for YouTube. That's it. Thanks again. See you next week, and hopefully a little more chipper on my end video.
Yes.
Bye-bye.